A warm welcome to everyone, and thank you for joining us in our Transformational Talks today. I'm Saeed, and I'm here with my colleague Anna Greb, representing Coach Transformation Academy. We are a globally recognized coach training and mentoring institute, offering world-class certifications accredited by the International Coaching Federation, International Mentoring Center, European Mentoring and Coaching Council, and the Society of Human Resources Management. If you'd like to know more about our programs, we will be sharing our email address in the chat shortly. So you can reach out to us to ensure you receive one ICF, CCE, and one IMC MDC. We kindly request that everyone remains on camera for the next 60 minutes. Please, participation certificates will be issued by Friday. It's a pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Sam Monnier, an internationally recognized education coach, speaker, and founder of Educators Coaching Academy, ECA. As a founder of Student Breakthrough Company, has been focusing on improving students' well-being, confidence, and motivation. Through Student Breakthrough, Sam coached hundreds of students, helping them manage anxiety, build resilience, and achieve their goals. Sam, a very warm welcome to you. We're excited to hear what you have in store for us today. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Saeed. Really appreciate that. I wonder if I can pin my face here so everyone can see me. But welcome along, everyone. Good to see a few familiar faces and some new faces. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. My name is Sam Moyne. As Saeed mentioned, the founder of Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. I just want to say thank you so much for giving up your time today for an hour. Really appreciate that. We've got a really fun session today. What's in it for you? What could be possible? You're going to hear lots of different coaching tools and strategies that I've used with some students over the last 7 years. We're going to look at limiting beliefs and how to help clients and students and children overcome that. And then lastly, we're going to look at the importance of action setting. So if you're new into coaching, it's going to be it's going to be some new content. If you're an experienced coach, parts of this are going to be a little refresher, but stay with me. Again, I'm very, very honored to be here with you all. So I'm coming at you from the UK. I'm actually usually based in Portugal. I know we've probably got a worldwide audience here. And I wanted to do a little check-in with everyone to see where you are and how you're getting on. So I use this sometimes with my students because students can sometimes struggle to connect with emotions. And sometimes they'll just label a feeling or an emotion or an I am, like I am overwhelmed or I am anxious or I am tired. And I just want to break that down into what part of them feels that way. And also to delve a little bit deeper behind those words to see if they can find a word that's more specific to how they're actually feeling. And I want you guys to do the same. We're going to come on to some guidelines for today. You've probably guessed already, my energy is pretty high. This is going to be a high, engaging, and fun event. So I want you to be with me and get involved as much as possible. So what I'd love for you to do is to comment into the chat right now. I know some people are driving, so don't take your hands off the wheel. Maybe just think about it, how you're feeling in your mind, in your body, and in your heart. And you can use this wheel if you can see it. It's a little bit small, I know. But choose a word for me and type that into the chat. How you're feeling in your mind, in your heart, and in your body right now in this moment. So feel free to use my words or the words on the wheel here. Hey everyone, hello, 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 global audience. Excited. Zana, confident, cool, and loving. Nice. Excited, curious. How are you feeling in your mind, your heart, and your body? Intrigued. Heart content. Curious, that's a good one. Tired after a long day. Happy, optimistic, creative. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, I think for me, my mind, feeling very energetic. I'm with you guys. My heart, what should we choose? Yeah, my heart feels very loving. I'm back in my family home here in the UK just for a couple of days. My body is, I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but my body's pretty tired. I've had a big shoulder operation, so I'm getting back into my fitness and that routine. So there's a little check-in for you. And I think it's important because whenever you start a coaching session, or a training session, we come from all these different energy states, you know, what you've just been doing. It's just important to ground ourselves in this moment. We're going to do another exercise later on to prove that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is coaching students. We're going to, again, I'll come on to more of this throughout the session, but I was coaching a 10-year-old boy recently. And when I'm working with these young people, sometimes you can't be coaching them sat down. You can't be coaching them at a desk. You can't be coaching them online. You need to get out there in nature and get them out moving. And I thought I'd share a little story about this young man. On the next slide, here he is. This is on my local beach in Costa Caparica in Portugal. And I had a couple of sessions with this guy. His name's Leo. And Leo was struggling at school, not really fit, didn't feel like he was fitting in, some anxiety. And I love coaching. If you've got your pen, obviously write this word down. It's prevention, right? That's why I love the coaching space. It's prevention, it's not reaction. So Leo's going through a tough time. His parents reached out to have some coaching. Had a couple of sessions with him, traditional kind of coaching, you know, sat next to him on a desk. But it wasn't really clicking. So one day I was like, well, we're going to flip the script here. We're going to go onto the beach and I'm going to ask him to collect some like driftwood, as you can see here, some rocks. We found some rope. And I asked Leo to complete this compass and make a compass. And obviously that gave a bit of, we were building some connection there between the coach and the client relationship, which was awesome. And we made this compass. And then I asked Leo to stand on each compass point and answer a question. And we were able to share a little bit. We sat down on the sand and he was able to share a bit more openly about how he was feeling and expressing. Because coaching doesn't have to be in the four walls or on a screen. It can be out in the nature and really experiencing things with young people. So my next game, to make sure everyone's on the same page, is to choose either north, east, south, or west. So choose either north, east, south, or west. Just a basic check-in question here that I use with Leo on this exercise. If you chose north, what's something you're proud of today? If you want to comment that into the chat, feel free. Again, if you're driving, keep those hands on the wheel. Just have a little think. What's something you're proud of today? East, what's something new you want to try? East, what is a new skill? Something new you want to try in your life? South, gratitude being the attitude. What are you grateful for in this moment? Could be learning something new with us today. And lastly, what is something you're confident at or confident in? Because Leo was struggling with confidence. We went around this, and actually I then brought his mum over to this compass and we got the mum involved. Because again, I think when you're coaching kids, and when I'm coaching in an organization, it's really important to get the stakeholders involved. Okay, it has to be like a whole family buy-in in this way. So the mum was involved. And Leo took one of these rocks from this one here, this kind of like purpley one in the middle. And he took that home as a reminder, you know, as a reminder of who he is, his strength, his groundedness, and what he learned in that session. Let's have a look at what some of the shares are in the chat. Grateful for each day. Christina, overcoming technological challenges. Proud of your progress, Anna. Great stuff, people. Focusing. North. What we got here. Feel like you're progressing. Cheers, Baba. Grateful for being alive. That's a good one, Hamzy. Cheers for sharing, Sophia. Well, the engagement on this is amazing. I'm going to share. You can keep sharing on that, by the way. And like I said, one thing I want you to make sure you're doing here is taking something away. If you're just going to sit there, there's no point in you being here. So you can use some of this stuff. You might have done this already, but you know, you can use that emotion wheel. You can use this coaching compass. Get out there, especially working with different people and experience coaching in new forms. So I'll go over these really quick. It's to get our time, the most out of our time together. You're already absolutely smashing this, team. So thank you so much. The first one is to participate fully. The studies show if you sit there today and that's it, you're only going to remember 10% of what is on offer. Yet if you get fully involved, take down some notes, you can remember 80%. So get involved fully. Be present as possible. Put that phone away, close down the tabs on the laptop or the phone, whatever. Get locked into this session. Listen for insights and not just information. As coaches, we all love those insights when our clients gain that little, I call it a breakthrough moment, penny drop moment. So yeah, the information is cool, but how does that land for you personally? I don't think this group are going to have a problem with this, but share those insights and share any breakthroughs you find out or discover. And lastly, have some fun, have a smile on your face, get stuck in for the next 50 minutes or so. And if you do have a pen and paper, if you haven't got one, I encourage you to go and get one or make a little note section on a laptop. And kicking off with this statement here, that awareness without action is worthless. And my greatest, one of my skills as a coach I've found out is getting people, moving forward, which I know is the role of a coach, is getting people to take action. But I've found that I've got this skill, and I've gone through different forms of therapy and counseling. I had therapy today, loads of awareness, but obviously not much doing. So what I'd love for you to do, if you've got a pen and paper, I love getting old school with a pen and paper. Get a bit of paper you can, fold it in half, like that. That's actually not half, but growth mindset, we're learning. There you go, fold it in half. On the left-hand side, can you write the word awareness? And on the right-hand side, can you write the word action? Awareness on the left-hand side, action on the right. You probably got the gist of what we're doing here. Anything that you think is like an insight, something that's landed for you, write that on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, any action step you want to take. We've already done 2 action steps. It might be to check in with your emotions when you wake up every single morning. Do that with your clients. It might be to think, how can I bring my coaching more into the natural environment, like the coaching compass? So there's already some actions you might want to think about there. But remember, awareness without action is worthless. This is why coaching is amazing. In my realm, for educators and students, gets people moving forward. And as you know, the distance between your dreams, where you want to get to, and your current reality is action. Hey, everyone who's joining, thank you so much. I'm loving this group already. CTA, you've got a great group of people here. Thank you for bringing them along. All right, what are we up to now? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Go back here. All right. So I just want to set the scene really with who I am. And again, thank you so much for having me. Really, really appreciate it. Hello, Maisha, I think from Cyprus. Like I said, my name's Sam, the founder of Student Breakthrough, the Educators Coaching Academy. I've been doing my coaching business now for just over 7 years. Before that, I was a high school teacher. And I just want to take you back to where it all began so I can set the scene with myself and my coaching. So this is me in 2018. Here I am as a history teacher in Milton Keynes in England. Now, if you can't see that, I've got the pretty slick hair and I had some very, very skinny trousers on. This was back in 2018. Times have changed a little bit. But for me, I never wanted to be a teacher. I never wanted to be in education. I really wanted to be a soldier. That's what my dad was. And in 2012, I actually achieved my dream of getting into the British Army. And I ran up to my dad and I got accepted. And I just felt like for the first time, he loved me. He was proud of me. And my path was going down the army route. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks after this, I got a letter that changed my life. And as I cut through the red wax of the letter, opened up the first line, it said, Sam, unfortunately, you failed the army medical exam due to your recent diagnosis. And these 2 words were in bold, of Crohn's disease. And I got the letter in my hand. I remember falling to the floor. I was about 21. And I hugged my knees into my chest really tight. And I just started crying. And that lasted for a few days. And after working as a coffee barista, I was going to say a barrister, that's a different barrister. My mum and dad kind of gently, my mum was a teacher. She was like, why don't you go and give teaching a go? So I did. But I didn't really feel like this was for me. Now, when you're going to go and teach 150 students a day, 5 days a week, those anxieties, that fear, that pain gets amplified. And very quickly, I started to miss days off school. Very quickly, I felt we're very insular. And I was putting on a brave face, but inside I was crying out for some help. Now, one day I had a breakdown in front of a group of students, 30, 16-year-olds. And a student asked me if I was okay. And I said, yes, I'm fine. Now, an acronym for fine you might want to write down is feelings, inside not expressed. Feelings inside not expressed. For whatever reason, this student asking me this question and me lying to this student, because inside I was not fine, prompted this emotional reaction. You know, our bodies are the best lie detectors. And I just started welling up and crying in front of the class. Now, that was in 2015. A couple of weeks later, my friend said, why don't you speak to my buddy? He's a coach. And I literally had zero idea what a coach was. Thought coach was for rugby, football, cricket. I was 24 years old. That was nearly 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago in April. It was the 23rd of April, 2015. I had that coaching session. So 10 years later, here we are now. But that session transformed my life. All that guy did was listen to me, ask me some questions, gave me some silence. And I found out in that moment that the failure I'd experienced through the army was actually a blessing. It gave me the awareness to then go and take new action. And after teaching for a couple of years after that, I taught for 5 years in total. I thought, well, I can do something for this. I'm going to become a qualified coach. So I did in 2017. And I made my first business called Student Breakthrough. And the mission was just to revolutionize emotional support for young people so that we can have less issues for future generations. And I was coaching kids here in coffee shops in Milton Keynes. And I was learning my coaching. It was really enjoyable. I loved it. And I was loving coaching, supporting kids in this way. Alongside this time, I started to just test loads of different things. Sorry, this printer's down. Not my usual place. I was doing big student talks. I was training teachers in coaching. And I was doing parent events. And I started to realize that coaching was having a massive impact in the lives of the young people that I was working with. Okay, I hope that's finished now. Coaching was having a massive impact in the lives of the young people. Now, I was doing all this stuff. I was thinking about the events. I was bringing coaching into schools. And then the pandemic hit. And everything stopped, if you remember back to those times. After the pandemic, a school in North London said, Sam, can you train our teachers? So they saw that I was getting good results for the kids. They were like, can you train our teachers in coaching? Now, Richard Branson has the best advice for anyone who wants to grow a business. And it's this: say yes and make it up later. Say yes and make it up later. The school reached out to me. They say, hey, can you train our teachers in some coaching? I said, yeah, sure. And I started to take the teachers through this coaching program, teaching them how to learn how to coach. And all I cared about was helping the kids. If I can help train the teachers, then I'll help the kids. What I found very early on, and it won't surprise anyone on this call, most teachers have never had any coaching, counseling, or therapy. So I was doing like very basic coaching exercises with them, and it was helping to release a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. That they were moving forward, they were improving their mental health. And that's when I thought, well, that's like a 2-for-1. The kids are getting support and the teachers are getting support. And that's called the Educators Coaching Academy, which has been my last little project for the last 3 years. We've been in schools in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Germany, Portugal, UK. And I see the results time and time again. Bringing coaching into education changes 3 things. It makes the school community closer and more unified because people are having heart-to-heart conversations. They're learning to listen. The next thing it does, it improves the culture of the school. They go from a culture of telling to a culture of asking. And lastly, that connection between students, teachers, and parents all just gets a bit tighter. The school is only as strong as its community. You can have the big fancy building. I've been in many schools with fancy buildings. It's the people inside that are the most important. And investing in your people, I believe coaching is a great place to start for that. So that's where I've been taking things. I'm actually doing a rebrand right now. I'll share it with you guys. It's going to be called Bora Education. And Bora in Portuguese means let's go. So it's going to be a bit more like educational reform, running school festivals, still doing coach training, and bringing that in. We got our courses accredited by the ICF 3 years ago now. So both of our courses, one course is ICF level 1, one course is just an ICF CCE course, because it's important to bring that quality of training into education. And just one thing before we start, that the quote that fires me up the most every single day, and I'll pause this so you can see my face. is that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken adults. I'll repeat that. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken adults. And like I said, I've experienced counseling myself. I've experienced therapy, different forms of support. And for me, coaching is amazing for kids because it meets them where they are. You guys know this in the present moment is positive. They feel listened, heard, and respected. But ultimately, it's moving them forward, helping them grow through what they go through. And it's such like a nice gateway for that. We're not talking about childhood trauma or pain, which I would argue everyone needs to maybe do some work on that at some point. But coaching is just accessible and people love it. And bringing that into education will impact these mental health challenges. Like 70%, 77% of school teachers say they experience poor mental health due to their work. And I think the same is quite as true. 70% of mental health issues are formed between the ages of 0 and 18. We can embed coaching as a preventative measure. There's going to be less reaction and pain further down the road. Okay. What I'd love you to do, grab your pen and just write down one thing you found out so far or one action step you've discovered. If you want to share it in the chat, you can. We have time here. Okay. Let's go back into this. We've got people all around the world. Make a bold move and go ahead. There is something like this for educators. Fine, feeling inside, not expressed. Awareness and actions. Keep the notes simple. Cheers, Yana. Love the fine. Young children and broken adults. Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone's engagement. You are fantastic. Now, we might have some new coaches, old coaches. But I just wanted to go over some of the breakthrough basics here. I think it's always important to hear this in a different way in terms of the key coaching skills. We're going to play a little game in a second. So, Saeed, I need a volunteer. If no one volunteers, maybe you can step up for this, but we'll do that in a second. Or Annegret or Nikki. But we'll see if we get some volunteers. But the 3 founding coaching principles, I train teachers in all these skills, but it comes back to this really for me, which is the breakthrough basics. We'll go over them real quick. Listening, the questioning, and the silence. I think any coaching relationship is formed by that skill of listening. And there's one guy in particular that was a great listener. And I love this story when I talk about listening, because most people can relate to Nelson Mandela as, you know, one of the better leaders we've had over recent times. And there's a story of him in his work in politics in South Africa and further afield. Everyone always said that he made them feel like the most special person in the world. Like the person doing the gardening in the gardens or cleaning the toilets or whoever they were, he made them feel so special because he had this innate skill of listening. Now, he learned this from his dad. And his dad was a chief, a tribal chief in Africa in the early 1900s. And one of Nelson Mandela's memories was going to these meetings with his dad. And the 2 things that stood out to him in the meetings were that everyone was sat in a circle. So all these elders could see one another. And when I do my trainings, it's the same in person. I have like a semicircle so everyone can connect and see each other. But more importantly, he learned that his dad was the last to speak. His dad was the last to speak. So he learned that his dad was making people feel heard, respected, understood before sharing. And in coaching, it's the same thing, especially for young children that I work with. That usually they're never listened to. They never had that space to share, especially in a non-judgmental way. And same for the teachers. You know, most teachers are busy, they're full on, like we all are. It's that space to reshare. And I think we can always just refresh our listening skills. One of the best distinctions I've heard on this is that hearing is physiological. So hopefully most of us can hear me, otherwise it's going to be a bit of an average talk. But hearing is physiological, but listening is psychological. Like listening is a psychological commitment to that person in front of you. It's that psychological act to say that I'm here with you, I understand you, and I respect you. And another distinction, more simple, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So technically we should be doing double the amount of listening as we do talking. But the research shows, you know, we've all got those friends that love talking a lot about themselves, and talking about ourselves gives us the same chemical release as eating our favorite food. It makes us feel good. But obviously in coaching, we're dialing that down. And it's a lot of the time the hardest skill that teachers have to learn, because teachers are very solution focused, and parents as well. They want to help, they want to find the solution, but it's about taking a teacher hat off and putting your coaching hat on and just listening to understand, not to reply. And when you do that, just that act, that skill can be transformational. So what I'd love for you to do, we're not going to practice a listening game, we haven't got time, but just grab your pen and just write down the initials of someone, maybe in your personal life, that you could just practice your listening a little bit deeper with. How can you really listen to understand this person and not to reply? So just jot the initials down of someone. That could be an action step. Always a good one is partners, girlfriends, boyfriends, wives, whatever. That's always a useful one for this. Now, the next skill, we're going to play our little game. I need 2 volunteers for this game. It's not that difficult, I promise. The next skill is the skill of questioning. The other great skill of a coach. And I think of questioning and coaching, like I'm a history teacher by trade, right? So if you imagine going to like an archaeological site, let's say they scanned the ground with their lasers and they found this like Roman treasure in the ground. And they dig away the top soil, they dig away the first layer of earth, and then they get their, what they use like shovels and little things to dig a hole with. And they're scraping away, and eventually they might get the toothbrush out, and they're like scraping away, and they find the Roman coins. And it's the same in coaching. Like, to get to the truth, to find out what's really going on for our clients, we need to use those great open questions to help us uncover what's really going on. Because coaching has to be the 2 T's. I believe there has to be an element of transformation. There has to be an element of looking beneath the surface to then couple with the transaction, which is the action. And this doesn't mean like we're not psychotherapists. We're not going back into childhood trauma necessarily. Well, we wouldn't as a coach. But there has to be an element of transformation. We get that transformation through questioning, and then couple that with the transaction of the action step. Now we're going to play a little game. It's called What's in My Pocket. And I need 2 volunteers. Would anyone like to be a volunteer? You're going to be doing this for like 30 seconds to a minute. Yes. Is it, how do I say your name? Is it Guillermo? Okay, Guillermo, you up? Is that how I say your name?
Yes, Renoir.
Guillermo, amazing. And then we'll have Baba afterwards. Okay, so we'll give Guillermo a little virtual round of applause. Thank you so much. We can't see you on camera. Is it possible to put your camera on?
I can't. My connection would be lost if I put up my camera.
Okay, no worries. So the game is called What's in My Pocket. Now I've got something in my pocket, and I want you to try and guess what it is. But Guillermo, you're first up. You've got actually the tougher job. You get to ask me 10 closed questions. So these are questions typically with give me a yes or a no answer. Okay, so I want to give you a shot. Let's see if you can get 10 and guess what's in my pocket. Over to you.
Okay, so is it hard or is it hard?
Yeah.
Is it metal?
No.
Is it wood?
Is it metal? I'll take my back answer. Yes, it is metal. Yes.
It is metal. Okay, so it's metal. Do you use it for technology?
No.
Do you use it to light a cigarette?
No.
I can see where this is going. So do you play with it?
No.
Is it long?
No.
Something metal in your pocket. Do you open a door with it?
No. Got 3 more.
Can you leave the house without it?
Yeah, I can leave the house without it. Yeah. 2 more.
Do you use it to talk to someone?
No. Last one.
I kind of give up. Do you put it in your mouth?
No. We'll give Gilmore a round of applause. She had a tough job. Thank you so much. closed question. Now, Baba, where have you gone?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're here. I can't see you. Where you gone? Let me put you on speaker gallery. Where have you gone, Baba? You're here somewhere. Now, you probably guess what Baba's going to do. Baba's going to ask 10 open questions to see if you can guess what's in my pocket. So, Baba, these have to start with either what, how, or why. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
How are you feeling in your pocket?
How am I what? Feeling?
Feeling.
Yeah, it's like a small decorative thing, I guess. Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you like its contact with your body?
Not especially. It's a little bit annoying, but it's something I don't usually carry around with me, if I'm honest. I've got it purely for this game.
What can possibly fit in your pocket?
Well, I've got enough space for like a phone, a wallet, this ornament that I found 5 minutes before the call. So there's some space in there.
Is it your favorite color?
No, it's red. That's a closed question. Ask me an open question.
Yeah, okay. Do you like to carry the colors you like?
Maybe ask me a question of like, yeah, do I like this color? Yeah, I do. This is not my favorite color. This is a color red.
Okay. Is
Can I
it
give you
possible? What is possible to carry in your pocket?
what is possible? This is like what's possible is if I was at Christmas time, I might like hang this on a Christmas tree.
Oh,
But it's like a small miniature one. I don't know why I found it where it was where it was. I opened the drawer when it was there. So it was meant to be. The universe decided.
how do you like your room to be?
My room, I like my room to be nice and clean. Usually and tidy. Now you got one question. Ask me the one that you could have asked, which is what is in my pocket?
What could possibly be in your pocket?
Yay! It's this weird mini Christmas bulb. Hang on, let me unblur. There you go.
Yes.
So let's give Barbara and Eno a massive round of applause. Thank you so much. Now that's a little bit of fun. I wanted to demo that because there might be some people in here who are, training people in coaching or helping them with that, and that is a bit of fun. But grab your pen and just write down and comment in the chat. What did you take away from that? The obvious point is a closed question gets a closed response. Interesting, I asked Babette to ask me open questions, and he actually asked me closed questions, which sort of got more closed responses. Now, when I work with younger people, younger students, there is an element of asking some closed questions. When I first started coaching, I asked loads of why questions. I'm a coach. I'm going to ask loads of why questions. And I got lots of I don't knows. So it's like, why did you stop taking action is quite accusational. It's like, why did you stop? Like, Saeed, why did you stop? So he's like, whoa, I don't know. You say, like, what stops you from taking action? It's that subtle change. And then how can you take action? How can you take better action next time? Or how can you take new action steps? That's obviously the doing. And again, side point, we're holding back on the action till the end of the coaching. You probably know that anyway, but I see that in teachers. They do a little bit of the listening, a bit of the learning in the being, and then they go straight into the doing. Just, hold off on that. So a little reminder for us all, keep those questions open, because open questions help that person find their own truth, what's really keeping them stuck. And the last thing to talk about here before we have a little reflection is the use of silence. Because silence can be uncomfortable. And let's be honest, the way the world's going, we're not getting any more silent. But in coaching, silence cuts through the noise. And again, just another reminder here to sit back and listen to understand and not to reply, and just hold off on that, even that question or what you're going to say. The amount of times I've been in a coaching session, you probably experienced this as well, when you want to ask this, you think this killer amazing question, and you hold off, you give some silence, and then boom, that client has something so profound, so powerful, so deep that you would never have got by asking a question. And obviously silence is great for two reasons. Like if I gave Baba some more silence there, he was obviously under pressure, right? I put him on the spot in front of like, 82 people. If I gave him some more space, let's be honest, he definitely would have come up with a better question for sure. I would have been able to sit back a little bit. So it's great for you as the coach. You can think of a better question, more deeper question. For the client, it really helps them to think, well, where do they want to take the session? So again, just encouraging, bring a bit more silence into the coaching. When I train teachers on this, we play the 20-second game, or the pause game, as I call it, where we'll be doing some coach training. Let's say Saeed is doing some coach training with me. I ask Saeed a question, he answers, and then the teachers visibly count to 20 on their hands. I was in Munich training 2 teachers, well, a whole group, but these 2 were together. They've been teacher friends for 15 years. Now you think, if me and Saeed were mates for 15 years, we'd know each other pretty well. Maybe we'll Saeed, you never know. But it was amazing. We played the silence game, and the question was something like, what's a challenge you're going through? The teacher was sharing. She stopped talking. The other teacher counted to 20. And it was this magical moment of like transformation where this teacher started welling up and crying. We were there to support her, obviously. And I was like, you okay? What's going on? She said, I've told that story to so many people. They've always jumped in with their solution on what to do and fix. I've never been able just to sit with that and just to process it. I've told this story to this teacher before, but she's always, given her thoughts, her solution. And just bringing that silence, deepen that relationship or friendship of 15 years. So just think what that can do for your clients, your kids, your loved ones in your life. So again, encouraging, bring a bit more silence into your conversations. Okay, we've got time. Yeah, we've got time. We'll do the last bit together. Okay, so we're going to move into our next little part of the call, or the session, I should say. We've got 20 minutes left, by the way. Stick with this. It's been a pleasure to work with you all so far. We're going to do 2 little exercises here. One is all about getting out your head, into your heart, into your body. Thinking less and feeling more. I'm a trained meditation teacher and breathwork facilitator. And recently, maybe in the last year, I've been bringing a bit more somatic practice into my coaching, and just really, really basic stuff. You haven't got to go and do a somatic coaching course to do this. I just wanted to lead you guys through a really basic exercise just to tap more into your bodies, because in my practice, I'm only speaking from my own experience here of coaching and being coached. We can intellectualize so much, we can talk so much, we can be in our heads, but a lot of that pain sometimes, that trauma, that where we feel that is actually felt in the body. And just by tapping into this, even by 5%, it can give an amazing release that helps us to move forward through our head. So getting out your head and into your heart. So I'd invite you all to do, if you can, if you want to turn your cameras off for this little bit, Saeed, and Nikki, I hope I got your permission for this. I can just turn the cameras off just for a minute or 2. We're just going to do a little breathing exercise and then a very basic somatic exercise. And then I'm going to show you just how I help teachers and students to lean into that limiting belief a little bit more. So it's all about limiting beliefs, that thing that's, stored deep within you. So please get comfortable, turn your cameras off. You can leave them on if you want, I don't mind. It's up to you. And where's my script gone? There it is. Cool. By the way, if you want this PowerPoint or the script, I can send it over to CTA. That you can use that. I don't mind. So you can use it for yourself. All right, team. Well, just get comfortable in your chair and get nice and grounded. And if you feel comfortable doing this, just close your eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, just lower your gaze. And just have your hands resting on your lap and your back nice and upright. And when you're ready, just noticing where you feel the breath most strongly in your body. This could be around the nostrils, could be in the chest. If it is in the chest, I encourage you just to breathe a little bit deeper down into your belly, opening up that parasympathetic nervous system, making that feel a bit more relaxed, a bit more calm. And we'll just do a few rounds of box breathing. You probably know what that is, but breathing into your nose for a count of 4, holding for 4, exhaling through your mouth for 4, and holding for 4. So when you're ready, just exhale, and then inhale through your nose for a count of 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale through your mouth, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and inhale, hold, and exhale. And just allow your breath to come back to normal, but keeping those eyes closed. And I invite you just to bring to mind a belief that may be holding you back. Could be a thought, a doubt. It might sound like I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I have to do everything perfectly. Just choose one that feels relevant right now. And as you bring that belief to mind, just notice how your body responds. And checking in with where you feel that most strongly in your body. Is it in your chest, your throat, your shoulders, maybe the pit of your stomach, or somewhere else? And as you get a bit curious, just asking and thinking if that sensation had a color, what color would it be? Would it be bright, dark, muted, intense? There's no right or wrong way, just what you notice. And now imagine if it was a shape. What shape comes to mind? Is it spiky, smooth, sharp? And lastly, what texture do you sense? Is it sticky? Is it rough? How would you describe the texture? And just take a moment to sit with that sensation, letting yourself simply be with it. We're not trying to fix it or change it, just witnessing it with awareness and compassion. And then take a big deep breath into your nose and sigh it out. Big deep breath in and sigh it out. Big deep breath in and sigh it out. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and coming back into the room, into the group. Welcome back. Please put your cameras back on. And welcome back, everyone. Okay. So using that with students, well, and anyone, but students, it really helps because sometimes they can't verbalize like what their feelings are. They can feel it in their body. They can describe it as a shape. It helps it, can access it easier. It's more accessible to them. What we're going to do next is just challenge that a little bit more. I've got a framework to do this. If you haven't read the work by Byron Katie, I suggest you read that book. It's amazing. So this is actually taken and inspired from her, but it's putting a little seed of doubt into that limiting belief, that limiting thought. And if you want to write down the word belief, I love this distinction. In the word belief is the word lie. And that's all a belief is. It reflects, a lot of assumptions, lies that we tell ourselves that we see as truth. What we're doing here is just showing that just because you think or think something does not necessarily make it true or accurate. Imagine if the whole world understood that. What is yours name? Byron Katie. And it's called The Work. Check it out. She's got loads of free resources on our website. So this is like taken from that. I've actually tweaked it for today because I wanted to make it a bit more punchy. So what I'd love everyone to do, on the top of their bit of paper, can you write down that limiting belief or challenge that you had? So it could be typical one, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. One that comes up for me is like, who am I to do this? Bit of doubt there. Had it, before. I've done loads of talks over these 7 years. Still get nervous. Who am I to do this? They're going to like me. They're going to listen to me. They're going to care about what I've got to say. And we're just going to put a seed of doubt in here. So grab your pens. And we're just going to look at this top left bit first. So Byron Katie, she asked this great question at the start of the work, which is this 100% true? So my one being, who am I to do this? Is that 100% true? Probably not. So you can write down here just, if it is 100% true, that's also okay. But the likelihood is it's not 100% true, that you're not good enough. You can't do this. Who am I? So straight away, we're putting a bit of seed of doubt. I know that is a closed question, by the way, but sometimes it's okay to have a closed question now and again in coaching. Is it 100% true? Now, the R stands for release. And what I love about coaching is that possibility thinking. It's stepping out and thinking, well, what could be possible if this didn't hold me back? So grab your pen here on the release. What would be possible if you removed that belief? What would happen if it was no longer driving you or serving you? What would be possible if you removed it? It could be that you maybe have that little boost of confidence. It could be that you take on that new challenge. It could be that you don't listen to that voice. What would be possible if you removed it? "100% true from my point really is probably find another limiting belief." Yeah. And sometimes, frankly, those beliefs are really embedded, and that's where we've got to be careful, I think, with the line of coaching and therapy, because obviously all our beliefs are usually formed between the ages of 0 and 8. So that's why therapy is great, to explore that in a deeper way, where those beliefs come from. We've all got these things that are driving us from childhood, and that's not the role of a coach. But it is important to, on a surface level, just talk about this. And it helps you just to think about, well, where could that come from? What could be possible? And that's the coaching part, isn't it? We're not saying, where did that belief come from? Let's heal it. That's not the role of a coach. We're saying, what would be possible? How could our life change if? And I love that statement. What if? What if that didn't ruin my life? What if that changed? Now, the U stands for undo. And what are 3 examples to challenge that limiting belief? And the great Steve Jobs, I think he's the great Steve Jobs, said that you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma. The dots will connect further down the road. And what that means is that I think we can agree, Phil Stutz says this as well, that leading psychotherapist, for all the celebs, the 3 certainties of life are pain, uncertainty, and the need for constant work or constant growth. So the future, we can all agree, is uncertain. I think we see that day to day in our lives, and what's going on in the world. There is uncertainty. But if you can look back and connect the dots, for this case, on something that you have achieved, something you have gone well, something that you were just in your flow and your zone of genius, then it's going to give you that confidence that whatever the future holds, you've overcome all these challenges, because it is a miracle you're here. You probably heard the stat that the chance of being born are 1 in 400 trillion. And you're on this webinar with me today, like we've met, which is awesome. We all overcome so many challenges, and we're going to overcome the next challenge. So if you can look back, and this is what this undo question is about. So if mine's like, who am I to do this? My undo would be remembering back to that time when I did a talk on BBC News on teacher burnout. It'd be the time where I coached a student who was going through a real tricky time with self-harm. It'd be that time where I reflect back and I watch a teacher that has changed their personal life through our coaching program. And that then gives me the confidence to be like, yeah, I'm nervous, but I've got this. I've got that certainty, I've done it before. The last one is establish. And that's creating a declaration. Now, declaration is a bit like an affirmation, but I see it more like a line in this, like a line in the sand almost. So the declaration here is the language you're now going to use. So language creates our reality. As coaches, one of my favorite things as a coach in being coached and coaching is when you get called out on your language. You know, it's like, well, Sam, you said this a lot, or you've mentioned this word a few times. And it's like, oh, you know, that language that we say, you know, verbally, but also in our brains, like that creates our reality. So how can we flip the script a little bit? How can we make a new declaration? So it could be like, from who am I to do this? My declaration is, I am capable of and worthy of delivery. I'm capable and worthy of doing this talk. So I want you to write a statement. Now, I might begin with I am. I am what? And I went through a stage of reading these out every morning. And what's one thing important to note here is that it's really interesting that the words have to align with the feeling, because you can say an affirmation or a declaration like, I am confident. But if the words don't align with the feeling, then you're just going to repeat another lie. And that's where, again, coaching comes in. So, well, how can you build that declaration? What action can you do to actually create that as a reality? So more detail on this, go and check out Byron Katie, the work. But here's some great coaching questions you can ask anyone. Is that 100% true what you're saying? What would be possible if that didn't hold you back? What's an example of where you have challenged that limiting belief? And also, what is some new language you can use right now? What's going to be the point of difference to change things for you? Now we have time. Well, what's right? Okay, we're good. All right, team. We're coming on to the most important part of the event. You have stayed with me for 55 minutes. So thank you all so much. But this is the most important part. You've wasted your whole time if you don't do this last thing. Now, I'm a history teacher. You can probably tell I've used Gandhi, or I've used Gandhi here and Nelson Mandela. And I love this quote. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And I'm guilty of this. How many times do we think we're going to do something, say we're going to do it, and then we doom scroll Instagram, click on Netflix, and nothing ever gets done? Now, that's not going to be today. Okay, this is a different talk. I want you to write down, look at maybe your action steps you've written down, and make a commitment to yourself and to this group. You know, we don't know each other very well, but writing this into the chat is a commitment. So what is your action step going to be from this talk? And what's going to happen if you think, say, and do? A little way to do this I use with my clients is, what action can you take this week? And that could be quite general. That importance question, what makes it important to you today? And with any form of action, I think the M part about this action setting, this aims, is the most useful. When I was a new coach, I used to get fobbed off all the time by my clients, because clients will lie to you. Like we lie to ourselves, right? I know I do. The action might be, let's say, like an academic one, like, I'm going to study more. I'm going to be more motivated. And as a new coach, you're like, oh yeah, it sounds like a great action. And they come back and they haven't done it. So putting data, number, stats, making it specific and measurable, I think is the most important part of any action setting. So if you get a client that is a bit general, Get your questions out, dig for the truth, get that data number. How can they remind themselves of this? And that's what that S is for here. How can you support yourself to follow through? Now we've got 76 people left on this call. Now this is your chance to type into the group your action step. And you might be thinking, well, who cares if I type it in? What's the deal here? Energetically, it's going to hold you more accountable. There's going to be even a 1% change if you write this into the group than you not writing it into the group. So what is your action step going to be for this talk? And if you haven't got an action step, you can even write down like I call it a breakthrough moment. I always end my session, what's been your breakthrough moment from today? And it's that one penny drop. Because to be honest, you're going to forget everything. A lot of things that I've said, I've done. Same in coaching. Your clients are going to forget what you said and done, then did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that's why the role of a coach is so important. Helping people think and feel different way to then take new action. So let's have a look at some of these. What we got? Work on listening skills. Gloria, who's that going to be with? How many times? Do more reading. How much more reading? Lost my trail. Gloria, lost my trail. There we go. Practice gratitude every day. What time are you going to do it? What things are you going to apply? How are you going to practice more silence? How are you going to build your coaching practice? Blah, 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 blah. Can you see, like, we're just lying to ourselves here, people. Like, make it more, read the workbook again. That's it, Susanna. That's a good one. So all I'm saying here is, team, if you want to change things and move forward in any part of your life, business or life, but make it specific. So, last thing from me. In 3 weeks' time, I'll be kicking off our school festivals. I do lots of other random stuff. This is me at the school festival last year. So you can imagine like the teachers who are, there's kids who are so nervous on the first day of school. We bring in world-class, I bring in world-class speakers, bands, DJs. We do like loads of cool activities. We unite the school together. So I've got that kicking off in 3 weeks, which is very exciting. Now I'm going through a rebrand, like I said, so I haven't really got a website. You can check out the Student Breakthrough website or the ECA training website if you want, but they're kind of going, we're going to change all that. But my personal email here is sam@studentbreakthrough.com. With your permission, CTA, I can send those slides out if people want the slides. All good for that. Sharing is caring. The other platform I'm really big on is LinkedIn. So that's obviously Sam Moyne. My Instagram is @studentbreakthrough. I'd really appreciate a follow on that if you want to come along and see what the journey is all about. But team, that is that's our time. So thank you all so much. I just want to say thank you, Saeed, Annagret, and Nikki for having me. And thank you, CTA. You've been an absolute pleasure. To all of you for getting involved, thank you so, so much. I'll go back to that quote at the start, which was, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken adults. And as coaches, this is the scalpel, right, that can help, you know, improve the emotional pain that people carry. And coaching is that gateway, it is that prevention. And if you're new to coaching, if you're experiencing coaching, thank you for doing this work. I believe in it so much. And I wish you an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you, Sam. It was so insightful. A wonderful session. Great. I just loved it. Thank you so much. And we have shared your LinkedIn, Instagram links on the chat as well. This entire session will be posted on a YouTube channel soon. So keep an eye on that and you'll have this there as well to follow up. Thank you so much, Sam, once again. Thank you everyone for being here. It was wonderful having all of you here, and let's meet up again in our transformational talks next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All the best. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.